Hey, morning guys. This morning I'm going to install this chain guide on the Roscoe 8. It's what is it? It's a Funn Zippa Lite E-Type chain guide, and it'll actually mount to the front derailleur bolts that are on the Trek frame. So make sure if you are going to get a chain guide that it does mount to there. The Roscoe doesn't have the ISG, I think ISG mounts on it that a lot of chain guides use. So you have to make sure it's what they call an E-Type, so it'll mount to the E-Type derailleur mounts. So let's take a look at this and get it going. So here it is here. We got the chain guide part, it's just plastic, composite. And the mounting hardware, this is the mount that'll go on the chain derailleur mounts. Some spacers to space it out, instructions. Now we are gonna have to remove the crank in order to get to these bolts. Yeah, so basically the tools you're gonna need to do this, to remove the crank, you're gonna need some grease, the tool to remove the bearing cap. The Shimano, at least in my case, has this tool. If you have the stock NX, I'm not exactly sure what you're gonna need to remove the crank, but I have another video to how to remove a Hollowtech 2 style crank. You can check that out, but basically you're gonna have to remove the crank in order to mount this chain guide. So let's go ahead, get the crank removed, and then we'll catch up there and mount this thing. So I got the crank removed. Now it's these two, this is the mounting spot for the chain guide. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove these caps. You should just be able to pull them and kind of screw them out, these cap covers or whatever they are in there. The other one came out so easy. All right. So basically we're going to want to mount this on there. See that there? It's going to mount on there like that. So I'm just going to put a little bit of grease in these mounting holes. Just gonna grease that up a little, put a little grease on the screws as well. Just gonna get these installed in here. You need a 4mm Allen. Make sure you thread it on straight. So we're just going to get this snugged up here. You probably could maybe leave the crank installed, I'm not sure, but it's definitely easier with it out of the way to get this installed. It doesn't specify a torque setting for these, so I'm just going to make sure they're nice and tight. Clean that up a bit. Also, just to mention, while you have the crank off, this is a good time to clean it all up and make sure when you reinstall it to grease it up and get it back nice and lubed up before you put it back. So just going to reinstall the cranks. I'll have a full video on my channel on how to remove and install these sort of cranks. For the stock NX crank, it might be slightly different, but I'm going to go ahead and put the crank back on and we'll get this lined up. Okay, so I got the crank installed, and now it's time to put the guide on here and see how that works. Should just, again, 4mm. And now they say basically you're going to want to get this as low as possible on this guide, on this frame here, without causing interference, like so. Now there is spacers that come with the kit, but if I look back, I don't know if you guys can see that, but I seem to be pretty good alignment of that chain guide. I don't think I need to use any spacers. I can probably even lower it down a hair more. But you want to make sure you have lots of room on both sides and above the guide. So I'm just going to try lowering that down just a hair. All right, so that seems pretty good on there. Different angle over here you can see. So there it is on there. You can see nice and low, but still lots of clearance for the chain. That should help keep my chain on, especially some of the downhill stuff that I plan to do with the bike. So that was basically it. Easy little install. If you want to get a chain guide for the Roscoe, I suggest you check out this Funn Zippa Lite. I'll have a link to it in the description, or you can pick it up on Amazon or wherever. It mounts to the front derailleur mount, which is cool on the Roscoe anyways, because there is no other really easy way to mount a chain guide. And that should help just keep my chain on, especially going to some gnarly downhill stuff. I just want to make sure I don't lose my chain. I had it happen last time, or a couple times ago. The chain fell off on one of my crashes, of course, but this should keep it in line. So make sure to stay tuned to the channel. You should be a like or a subscribe button up here in the top corner. Make sure to hit that if you haven't subscribed already. Make sure to check it out. I'll be doing some more trail rides coming up here soon. Plan to take the Roscoe doing some downhill stuff. So stay tuned to the channel. Toogie Howser MTB, keep your feet on the pedals.
Oh, shut your face, Toogie Howser.